the mic.
Get on the mic.
Just get on the mic. Get on the mic, Mike.
Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome to Get on the Mic. That's where you put me in front of a microphone with a few notes and I talk about some of the more interesting things that have happened throughout the world of entertainment or whatever else I feel like talking about this week. I am your host, the Reel Geno Reynolds. I wanted to get this program done a little early this week since Luke Cage is going to be on Netflix tomorrow and I want to watch it. So we're doing this a little early, but that doesn't mean that we don't have plenty to talk about. We got some big news in the world of entertainment this week. And also we got some big news coming up later about the Reel Geno YouTube channel, and I'll share that near the end of the podcast. Some of the things we're going to be talking about today are first, a possible small difference in Captain America Civil War in what seems to be becoming a segment on this show. We got two stories in the What is DC Doing segment. First, Zack Snyder's Justice League was all shot, maybe. Also in the What is DC Doing segment, Warner Brothers plans for DC movies from now on. Excuse me. Also, big news in movie-going news. AMC is set to challenge Moviepass. It's on now, and we'll talk all about that. Also, I want to talk about The Girl in the Spider's Web, the reboot of the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo series. And also, we're going to talk a little bit about video games. I want to talk about optional quests in RPG video games. Those of you that have been keeping up with my Game of Thrones RPG series on Geno's Bad at Games here on the channel probably know where I'm going to be going with this, but I just want to talk about it for a little bit and get it off my chest. But the first thing I want to talk about is a possible small difference in Captain America Civil War. And be aware, there's going to be Marvel spoilers here. Being that Infinity War has made, over $2 billion worldwide now. I think everyone that's going to see it has seen it, but just in case, there's going to be some spoilers for that and maybe a couple of other movies. Remember when Tony Stark recruited Peter Parker in Civil War? It was a great scene, right? Which leads to a really great father-son dynamic in Spider-Man Homecoming, which leads to Peter Parker fading to dust in Tony's arms in one of Infinity War's most heartbreaking scenes. It came out this week that this whole storyline was almost something completely different. On Kevin Smith's Fat Man on Batman podcast, Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely, the screenwriters for Captain America Civil War, revealed that before the rights to use Spidey were secured, there was a different hero that would have been recruited by Tony Stark. McFeely said, quote, Tony Stark would recruit somebody else. He probably recruits Ant-Man. I think that would be the idea. Well, we had a section where you could recruit somebody, right? Marcus replied, Tony actually went to San Francisco. It would not have been as cool. McFeely then responded, I believe Scott was watching his daughter play soccer. It wasn't very good, end quote. I really wonder how different things would have been. Not only would we have not gotten the Stark-Parker father-son dynamic, but we also wouldn't have gotten the Ant-Man fanboy crush on Captain America and whatever else is being cooked up in Ant-Man and the Wasp. And also, one thing I really do wonder about is the whole Stark versus Pym dynamic. How that would have played out. Because if Iron Man had recruited Ant-Man instead of Spider-Man, Pym and Stark probably would have crossed paths. Ant-Man wouldn't be in trouble with the law. He wouldn't have went to the raft, all that stuff. Because he would have been, probably would have been an Avenger. So, I mean, who knows how that would have worked out. So, yeah, I'm really curious how all that would have turned out. That being said, I think what we got instead was well worth it. Not only for the stuff mentioned before, especially the father-son dynamic with Peter and Tony, but because Marvel got friggin' Spider-Man to come back home. I mean, that's better than just about anything. I mean, just that little scene when they finally showed Spider-Man, take Cap's shield in that trailer, and he's just like, hey, everybody, even though that they changed it up a little bit in the movie. Just him showing up, just, Tony going to Aunt May's apartment, just all that. I'm not saying I wouldn't be accepting of Ant-Man in that role, but just having Spider-Man back home, that's what really mattered. Okay, now on to the first story in the What is DC Doing segment. Zack Snyder's Justice League was all shot, maybe. It starts in a little different direction. This starts with AT&T. AT&T has bought Time Warner, which means that they also now own Warner Brothers. And of course, this has DCEU fans asking the media conglomerate over Twitter to release the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League. They're just not going to let it go, even though I'm not saying I would love to see it. It's not one of those things I'm clamoring for. One fan said this over Twitter, quote, "Hey, AT&T, there's millions of ravenous fans who want you to hashtag release the Snyder Cut. So if you could go ahead and release that tomorrow, it would really be a sign of good faith to the fans. Hashtag release the Snyder Cut." AT&T actually responded to the fan, sort of. They commented back, "Hey Chris, thanks for your feedback. We are always looking to expand. We are always here for you." End quote. Look, we all know the history by now. Snyder was replaced by Joss Whedon for Justice League, citing personal issues following the death of his daughter. Of course, rumors are claiming that he was more forced out than resigned. Then there are the reports that the cut just doesn't exist. But now there is a conflicting statement on the matter. DC storyboard artist Jay Oliva, I don't know, I guess that's how you pronounce that, confirmed via Twitter that Snyder did indeed shoot everything that was storyboarded for his vision of the film. That would mean that there's reason to believe that there is a version out there that is different. Snyder's version of the movie, according to Oliva, 99% of Snyder's movie was done, meaning that it was likely only lacking VFX and other post-production effects. It's unlikely that AT&T will ever release the footage, but here's the thing. I think they should. Not as a finished movie, per se, but as a special feature on the next Blu-ray release of Justice League. Here's what they should do. Cut together what they have available, along with, effects notes, storyboards, and the such. Kind of like that pirated version of X-Men Origins Wolverine that we don't talk about, that got leaked years ago. Just let people see it. If they don't, A, they will never leave you alone about it. And B, in this day and age, using, again, the example of the X-Men Origins Wolverine cut that got out. And maybe, even though this one was a little more sinister, the Deadpool footage that got out that led to Deadpool being made. In this day and age, somehow, some way, that footage is going to get out and people are going to see it. That's why I think Warner Brothers should just release it. Cut together a rough cut, say, hey, you wanted it, here it is, you can find it when you buy this Blu-ray. And people will buy that Blu-ray up just to see it. So, now on to the second What is DC Doing segment of the show. Warner Brothers has a new plan for DC movies. Look, we can all agree that, and maybe we can't, but I think we can all agree that DC's latest movies are okay at best. Now, Wonder Woman, of course, being the exception, even though it had some issues too, it was really good still. It's definitely the best out of all of them, all of this new DCEU. Warner Brothers film chairman Toby Emmerich is hoping that Aquaman will be the beginning of a new era for the DCEU. He made a statement that comes off as a bit, I'll just say, well, duh. But hopefully Warner Brothers is ready to stop trying to be Marvel and start doing their own thing for once. Their plan? To make better movies. I'm not kidding. That's what it is. Their plan is to make better movies. Say it with me. Well, duh. He said, quote, I think the good movies work better. Somebody once said the best business strategy in motion pictures is quality. And I think in a world of Rotten Tomatoes and social media, what's been proven, the better the movie, particularly in the superhero genre, the better it performs. You can't hide the bacon anymore, end quote. I'm not sure really what he means by hide the bacon. I'll leave that for a studio exec to say and me to not understand. So yeah, well, duh. Any movie, you make a better movie, it's going to do better. You know, you don't slack off. I guess maybe what he's saying by you can't hide the bacon is bacon's so good that you should serve it with every meal. I think is what he's saying is don't hold back, make a great movie. Don't skimp on what works. So now, how do they plan on doing this? Make better movies. He said, quote, I would say no matter what, the better the movie is, the more advantage it is. Now, when you're talking about art, I do believe that it's tough to judge art at the moment when it's presented to the world. But I would say there are movies that are right for their time, that an audience is ready for, that's in sync with the zeitgeist, and I think you need a movie whose quality is recognized at the moment of release, so it's in touch with the culture of the moment. We're at a unique moment around the planet, and certain types of movies are working better than others at this moment of time. And I do think Aquaman will sync up with the global culture zeitgeist of what's happening right now. Part of me thinks that what he's saying is movies can't be behind on the times. Think about a movie like Deadpool. How updated its jokes are when it gets released. It's like they're filming stuff shortly before. They're adding stuff in if something happens and it has some relevance to now. I think that's kind of what he's getting at. He said that while Aquaman does have, quote, connective tissue to other DC movies, it will also stand on its own. We will find out in December if his dreams of making a better movie come true. I will say, in my personal opinion, it's not a bad start having James Wan as your director for Aquaman. I think he's going to get the vision right. So I hope I'm right on that. Moving on. Big story this week. AMC is set to challenge Moviepass now. Now, we've talked about the rivalry between AMC and Moviepass before on this program. many, many, many times. Those of you that have stuck around this long listening to this program have probably wondered when the next story will be coming out on the subject. It's been a while. Well, today's the day, and it's a big one. Next week, AMC is set to launch its own subscription service called AMC Stubs A-List. For $20 a month, you can see up to 3 movies a week at AMC theaters. Also, there is no restrictions on Stubs points. I'm not sure about if your ticket price goes towards Stubs points. I actually sent a tweet out to AMC Cares. We'll see if I hear back. So there's no restrictions on Stubs points and benefits, such as upgrades on concessions, express box office, and concession service, and no online ticketing fees. Also, AMC service will let you get tickets for premium screen offerings such as IMAX, Reel 3D, and others, which Moviepass doesn't allow. It will also let you see a movie more than once, which if you're a Moviepass person, you know that this is something that Moviepass got rid of not too long ago, much to the ire of many of its subscribers. Adam Aron, CEO and president of AMC Theaters, had this to say about the new program, quote, "We believe that our current and future loyal guests will be interested in this type of program. AMC Stubs A-List rewards guests with something that no one else offers. The very best of AMC, including IMAX, Dolby Cinema, and Reel 3D up to 3 times per week. For one simple, sustainable price, AMC Stubs A-List is AMC's next evolution of delivering amazing benefits to our loyal customers, and we're excited to continue to grow the program by leaps and bounds." Of course, you knew this was coming. Moviepass's CEO Mitch Lowe had a response for this. He said, quote, "What I'm worried about is it's confusing customers and making them believe that they can't use this service," talking about Moviepass at AMC theaters, end quote. He also said that he is not concerned about AMC Stubs A-List taking away from Moviepass sales. Moviepass, as of right now, currently has 3 million users and does allow subscribers to access screenings at AMC theaters, but again, you can't get Stubs points. At least, we'll talk about that in a second. Of course, though, this wasn't the end of it. Of course, I expected this when this finally happened. The dick measuring contest had to begin. After AMC made their announcement, Moviepass's Twitter, which, by the way, Moviepass's Twitter gets a lot of support and trolls for what they post. I mean, it's ugly, really ugly. Moviepass's Twitter account was quick to comment on the matter. Quote, "Heard AMC Theaters jumped on board the movie subscription train. Twice the price for 1/4 the theater network and 60% fewer movies. Thanks for making us look good, AMC. AMC has repeatedly disparaged our model as a way to discourage our growth because all along they wanted to launch their own more expensive plan. We want to make movies more accessible. They want more profit," end quote. And of course, this led, like I mentioned earlier, this led to haters and supporters alike to comment on this. And if you follow Moviepass, I'm not going to go through a lot of the comments. It gets kind of ugly, and if you want to read it for yourself, just check out Moviepass and Moviepass their customer service, which is Moviepass pass _CS, I believe, on Twitter. Check those out if you want to see how ugly it can get. Now, here's the thing. How do I think this will go for both companies? I wasn't sure about this until I started reading up on it. But I think that this could be a pretty big win for AMC. I'm guessing that AMC will really start cracking down on the collection of stubs points with the Moviepass. It is supposed to be a rule. It is in their terms and services that you're not supposed to be able to get stubs points for Moviepass. But since Moviepass is a debit card, they really can't stop you. I mean, they can. They have a thing in their computer that does stop you, but some theaters just don't. Some of the AMCs don't. But I'm going to guess that now that the A-list is going to be a thing, the theaters are going to really start cracking down on this. Moviepass, their parent company, is bleeding money with their deal. The stock, I guess, is plummeted. They're losing lots of cash right now with what they've got going on. While AMC is already a massive company, and while they may take a bit of a loss on ticket sales, I'm pretty sure their concession sales are going to rise if people join this plan. Plus, you have everything all in one thing with AMC, where with Moviepass you got to deal with Moviepass and AMC, and who knows how people are going to take to that. While Moviepass has been mostly good to me as far as customer service, maybe because anytime I contact them, I've always tried to approach them with kindness and not be a-hole troll like some subscribers do. Their customer service hasn't been able to grow fast enough with all their new subscriptions. AMC, on the other hand, already has a massive customer service crew in place. I've dealt with their customer service before. They treated me well and got things settled easy. I had to refund a ticket because I was going to go out of town to see a movie on like a Fathom event, but then my local theater got it, so I just kind of switched it up, and they handled it real quick, and it was cool. So yeah, this could mean a win for AMC, which, I mean, this is just a company getting bigger, so I like the idea of Moviepass sticking around because though even though I say things like I want Disney to own Fox and everything, I don't want it from a business standpoint. I want it from what they can make movie wise standpoint. AMC, I don't want every theater to be an AMC though. There's always got to be competition out there. What will Moviepass need to do, though, to keep their business up? The first and foremost thing that they need to do is let people see movies more than once again and keep it there. They learned a big mistake. I think we've talked about this before. I didn't even know you could see a movie more than once. I thought the rule was you could only see a movie once. Then I guess they changed it. I didn't know it. And a buddy of mine told me he saw Black Panther I don't know how many times. It was like 5 or 6 times, I think. And I think that's where they learned their lesson, is that people kept going to see, they weren't seeing other movies. They were seeing Black Panther 5, 6, 7, 8 times. And this rule changed right around the time of Infinity War, because they knew Infinity War is going to be huge, and I believe we've talked about that before. So, yeah, they're going to have to go back to it if they want to keep their customer base. I think the one thing they can do to make it work is let people see movies more than once again, because that's really what people want. At least a lot of people. This will buy them a lot of favor with the customers. I think it's the one big thing they can do, but there's some other things they can do that might help them as well. They'll also need to offer some sort of family plan. This has been one of the biggest complaints about the Moviepass service, while I go to a lot of movies by myself, and I know I'm not the only one, most people go to the movies with their families, friends, whatever, dates. Most people don't want to have to subscribe to multiple Moviepass accounts to cover this. And while this one isn't as important, they may also have to allow some sort of premium service that allows for IMAX, 3D movies, etc. as well. If Moviepass wants to stay in the game, they're going to have to adapt, whether they want to or not. AMC only continues to grow and grow and grow, and them starting the A-list service is their way of saying that they will not be effed with, especially from some little piddly startup Moviepass company. For me, personally, I might just get both services. I go to enough different kinds of theaters that it would still be to my benefit to have both. Most of the time, I go to one of the 2 local AMC theaters, so the stubs points would add up. The Moviepass would cover the times I go to any other kind of theater. Pretty much all of them around me and beyond take Moviepass. $30 a month for all the movies I need. I mean, I see on average, 3 a week? At least. So yeah, $30 a month for all the movies I need, plus guaranteed stubs points. Unless the tickets you buy don't count towards your points total anyway. That, again, I'm trying to find out. And if I do, I'll let you guys know. But anyway, both plans together could be a winner for me, because still, $30 a month. I mean, average ticket price for my area in Illinois is about $10. So that's 3 movies. I know I'm going to at least see 3 movies. Plus, if I need to see, I think the AMC A-list, you can use your 3 movies in one day if you want. I think it recharges after like 2 hours or something. I think I read that somewhere. But even if not, I could use Moviepass, see 2 movies in one day, use a Moviepass, then use the AMC A-list pass and see the 2 in a day or whatever. There's many options, and for me, for someone that sees his movies as me, $30 is still cheaper than what I was paying for Moviepass when it was expensive. Anyway, but that's big news this week. I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye on all of that. I have a bad feeling that unless Moviepass changes, though, they're in trouble. Next thing I want to talk about is The Girl in the Spider's Web. One of my favorite movies, especially since becoming a critic in 2011, is David Fincher's The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. It's one of those movies that I really have to be in the right weird kind of mood for it. But when I am, man, that movie is awesome for me. And I've been waiting for the sequel for, nearly 7 years? But its poor box office performance has kept that sequel from getting made. It come out, I believe it was late last year, that Sony Pictures decided, instead of continuing with the story with part 2 and 3 with Daniel Craig and Rooney Mara, they do a soft reboot with part 4 of the Millennium Book series, The Girl in the Spider's Web. As a fan of the first movie and the first movie of the Swedish version, I didn't watch the other 2 yet, as to not ruin the possible Daniel Craig Rooney Mara versions. But now I will be watching them because I know those movies aren't coming. But I did like the Swedish version of The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Not as much as the American version, but it's not knocking the Swedish version at all. As for this new movie, the jury is still out for me on the trailer. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm still looking forward to seeing it. I liken it to my thoughts on the new Hellboy movie. While I love the original 2, and wanted to see them continue, especially as big of a Ron Perlman and Doug Jones fanboy as I am. I'm willing to give a new version a chance because I like the character. And I don't think and I like David Harbour too. So I thought he was a suitable new Hellboy, or at least I hope he is. The new Lisbeth Salander, Claire Foy, talked to Collider about the new team taking over the series. She said, quote, "I think the Swedish versions were incredible. I think the David Fincher version was amazing, and I think Rooney and Nomi are amazing. It's just I'm doing it this time, which is weird for me, but so many things about it haven't felt weird, which I find encouraging. I think that Fede is incredible." That's the director. And I think he's a genius. I think Pedro Luque, the DP, is a genius, and I think it's exciting for that reason. It's a really exciting combo. She then continued to praise the movie's director. Quote, he sort of is like a concert-trained pianist. He's incredible. He just has an understanding of film and story and audience that I think very few people do. It is studied in a way, but it's not studied. He loves film and he sees the rhythm of it. He creates a beautiful image with Pedro. They're just an incredible team. They just have such a beautiful eye, and it's always slightly different to what you would think it would be. I haven't done a single shot in this which has been like, well, now we have to cross you and we have to get you all close. That hasn't been the case at all. It's never felt like a formulaic way of making anything. I think he's full of heart as a person and really cares about this movie, which is very, very rare. It's not a vehicle for him. He's in it, and that's lovely. I'm hoping that her praise is well-founded, and the movie is great. I haven't seen any of Foy's Emmy-nominated work on The Crown. I did really like her in Unsane. So I think she can pull off that, the unstable nature of Lisbeth. I am looking forward to it. Though, again, I'm sad that Fincher won't get to make the rest of his vision. I am curious to see what they're going to do with this new movie. The next thing I want to talk about is optional quests in RPG video games. Those of you that have followed my segment Geno's Bad at Games on the channel know I've been playing Game of Thrones RPG and know some of the headaches that game has been causing me. I don't get to play a lot of games anymore. I am playing some for the channel, and this is probably the most I played a lot of games in a while, other than with my kids and stuff. Every now and then I get to pick up a game, but I don't get to sit around and play games anymore. I have too much to do. But I know this isn't true for all RPGs, but I'm talking about this. But I know there's other ones like this. This Game of Thrones game, you play as two different guys, which is kind of a cool dynamic, especially kind of where it's going. Story-wise, but there's parts of this game where they give you these optional quests, which I've dealt with optional quests in games before. What little I've played of the Elder Scrolls series, I played a little bit of Oblivion. I played Daggerfall back in the day. There was just so many things that in games where it's like here's the things you have to do and here's the things you can do. What's really made me mad about this Game of Thrones game is they call some of these side quests optional, but in order to do well in the game, equipment-wise, money-wise, experience-wise, all that, you almost have to complete them. And granted, some I did by accident, like I'd run across them by accident, and I would do them, and I thought they were just part of the main story. And then, see, this game doesn't explain a lot to you very well. You know, it's tutorials, just, hey, here's a screen, here's what you got to do it. And then it kind of lets you try to figure some things out by yourself. And this game has these side quests where if you didn't know to go back to these places, and granted, first of all, the towns are horrible mazes. And yes, you do have a map, but it doesn't explain to you, hey, you know, I mean, sometimes it says, hey, you should go to this place and check this out, optional quest. But then sometimes these optional quests are just there and you're just supposed to know it. And I would be fine with not doing them. I wanted to just do the story and do the main quest. I would be fine with missing these quests if the game gave you enough money, if the game gave you enough equipment. At times, you miss out on the best equipment, as I found out with one character, where early in the game, you're supposed to run into this guy, and he's going to commit suicide, and you talk him out of it, and you save his soul. Your guy is one of the Red Priests, and you save his soul. And later, he has like the best helmet and the best armor for that character that saved his soul. And then, so you're just like, that was like in chapter 2. I'm in chapter, like, whenever I found out I wasn't going to get this armor, I was in like chapter 11 or 12. So you just had to run into this guy randomly, and if you don't get the best armor. I missed out on doing a quest where you can fight in the arena for money. That would have helped. Thankfully, since the story does kind of branch off to where you have to pick one of the two characters to get their ending. I think there's like 4 different endings. I'm only going to do one, I think. I think I have enough armor and weapons and everything that I'm okay. But there was a few battles where I had to stop what I was doing and go find everything I could do to farm money and farm equipment and whatever else I could find, just to sell enough, just to buy enough of better stuff. This game just kind of drove me nuts with that. If this game would have had like random encounters or something, that would have helped. But it didn't. It's just like, oh, you missed this quest. Sorry, you're done. You can't go back. Because once you go so far in the game, you lose the quest. Like I said, I did some by accident, and I was fine. Like I said, I think I missed 3, but I would have liked to have done them. When I found this out, I did do as many as I could find. And it also didn't explain very well that you could travel back up to the north, and because it separates the world of Westeros to the north and the south. So I was in the south for a lot of time. Didn't know I'd go back to the north. That kind of made me mad. But yeah, it just, I can't stand a game that calls something optional, but in order to survive, let alone thrive, you have to complete them. That's what's really held me back from this game. And now, if I would have known I needed to complete them, I would have. And I probably would have had fun doing it. The game's not bad now when there's times where the controls mess up and you can't attack. I finally figured out how to stop that. You just have to switch your character and then switch back, and then you can attack again. But there's a few times I had to go so far back because I couldn't attack, and then I'm getting wasted, right? And when you can't attack, you're going to lose. So this game it had controller bugs where the camera was spinning for no reason. The guy was spinning for no reason. It's kind of a buggy game. But all in all, I've somewhat enjoyed the story. I like one guy's story better than the other, and let's just say I think I chose the right side because the other guy's a dick. But you know, I want to have as much fun as possible, and if I would hate it if I got to this point in the game, and I'm lucky that I was able to overcome things so far, because I was afraid I was going to get to the end of the game and then I couldn't go back. You know, some games, like say a Final Fantasy, for example, like especially the older ones. I'm not sure about the newer ones. I believe, what was the last one I played? 8, I think, was the last Final Fantasy game I played. You could go do random encounters and stuff and get more experience. So if you weren't powerful enough for the last bad guy or whatever, you could go and get powerful. But this game, if you didn't have the quests to go to, there's a chance you wouldn't be able to finish. And that would have sucked. Because the battle I just did, what's crazy about it is it was one of the easiest battles I ever did, you know, for the villain that it was. But it would have been horribly difficult had I not leveled up and had the opportunity to level up. So I'm kind of glad so far it's worked out, but I still got like a chapter or 2 to go, and I'm afraid where it's going to go. I mean, I think the game's about over. I think we may just have 1.5, maybe even just 1 chapter. I don't know. Since I haven't finished, I'm not sure where it's going. Like I said, I just read that there was like 4 different endings. But yeah, I would have hated to have gotten there if these quote-unquote optional quests would have been, you know, optional. They needed, if they're called optional, make them optional. I should be able to finish the game without them. And the optional quest should, you know, it should reap some rewards and stuff like money or experience or a cool weapon or armor or whatever. I'm fine with that. But it definitely shouldn't be the best stuff in the game. That should be part of the main quest, always. But anyway. So yeah, I'm about to finish that game. I just hope in, you know, future games that I play. I mean, this game was, I think, from like 2012. So I mean, it's been a few years. It's a few years old. And like I said, I'm sure other RPGs are better balanced, but I'm just saying that RPGs need to find that balance and don't call optional things optional if they ain't optional. That's it for my rant. That makes me feel a little better. The game's going a little better for me, and I'm thankfully about done. So on to quick hits. Here we go. From the rumor mill. After the disappointing box office for Solo, Disney and Lucasfilm may be halting their Star Wars storyline for the time being. According to the rumor, they plan on focusing more on Episode 9 and whatever the next trilogy or trilogies of movies after that will be. Presumably, they're talking about the Rian Johnson trilogy and or the series of films from Game of Thrones showrunners David Benioff and D.B. Weiss. Again, at the moment, these are just rumors. Honestly, I don't see Disney making, like, stopping these movies. I don't see them this little bit of loss on one movie, and they'll probably even make the money back on home sales. I don't see it stopping Disney from moving forward. Actor Zachary Quinto has given fans an update on the future of Star Trek movies. He said, quote, "You know, I think we're going to know more in the next few weeks, actually. There's a 4th movie that's being developed right now. They've brought a director who's actually a wonderful woman who I've worked with before named S.J. Clarkson into the mix to develop and to helm that project. And so I think it's now kind of in the business. Logistical kind of phase." End quote. Paramount is developing a 3rd Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, while still being produced by Michael Bay and his Platinum Dunes company. Yay. The studio is looking to reboot the series after the 2nd movie of the franchise was a huge disappointment both financially and critically. There's no other news on what their plans are for it. Oscar nominees James Cromwell and Bruce Dern have signed on for Emperor, a Civil War abolitionist film based on a true story. The movie follows Shields Green, who in 1859 escaped from a plantation and made a daring journey north where he met Frederick Douglass and John Brown. Instead of choosing his freedom in Canada, Green chose to fight to end slavery. Cromwell and Dern will play John Brown and Levi Coffin, respectively, two of the great heroes of the American abolitionist movement. George Clooney is set to step behind the camera again for the new sci-fi film Echo from the producers of Arrival and Stranger Things. The movie tells the story of a drone specialist who believes that his lover has been replaced and is not who she says she is. While there is no news on who will star in the movie, I'm going to guess that he'll either get Matt Damon or step in front of the camera himself. Dennis Quaid is signed on to play the late former President Ronald Reagan in a new biopic. The movie is going to cover his life from boyhood through his presidency, as well as his time as governor of California, his role in the destruction of the Berlin Wall, and his final days dealing with Alzheimer's disease. The movie's producer, Mark Joseph, said, quote, "Dennis was always our first choice. He's one of the great actors of our time. There is no release date or official name for the movie yet, but the working title right now is Ronnie." Because every show just has to come back to TV, Fran Drescher is teasing that her show, The Nanny, could be making a return to television. She said, quote, "We're talking about it. Peter, Mark Jacob, and I are talking about it. We're working on a very big project. It's going to be very exciting for the fans, but I'm not at liberty to announce it yet. But it's going to be big." If greenlit, she talked about the future of her character. She said, quote, "She would have maybe gotten involved in more things that Fran Drescher is involved with." And yes, she did refer to herself in the third person. All kinds of things from environmental issues to health to civil liberties. That's what I think Fran would be doing now, opening her big queen's mouth for the greater good. She added, "The thing is, our show would be the same characters 20 years later. We can't just pick up where we left off, but in a way, that could be really good because the show can have a whole fresh bend to it." Lastly, she said she's, quote, "waiting to get the call." Look, I know. Let's bring every show back. I want my favorite shows to come back, like Homicide: Life on the Street. Oh, wait. No, I don't, because it ended perfectly. James Cameron revealed that he was after the rights to Jurassic Park back in the day. He said that Spielberg beat him to the punch by only a few hours. He did concede that the right man got the rights to the movie. He said, quote, "When I saw the film, I realized that I was not the right person to make the film. He was." He then added, quote, "He made a dinosaur movie for kids, and mine would have been aliens with dinosaurs. And that wouldn't have been fair. Dinosaurs are for 8-year-olds. We can all enjoy it, but we can all enjoy it too. But kids get dinosaurs, and they should not be excluded for that. Or from that, excuse me." His sensibility was right for that film. I'd have gone further, nastier, much nastier. I don't agree with Cameron too often, but he's right. The right guy got the rights. While Sicario: Day of the Soldado hasn't even been released yet, its early buzz has the movie's producers already gearing up for Part 3. It would also seem that Emily Blunt is being eyed to return to the franchise as FBI agent Kate Macer. Franchise producer Trent Luckenbill talked about Blunt's possible return. He said, quote, "I think Taylor Sheridan certainly has some ideas about all that, but we're open to that world and certainly would love to bring Emily back. We haven't written the script yet, but yeah, it would make a lot of sense. We're all fans of the movie. We've all come to the same conclusion, which is it would be great to see her again. So I think we're striking up those conversations now." Sicario's screenwriter previously said that he was the reason that Blunt's character was not included in the sequel, but did say that she could possibly return. He said, quote, "Her arc was complete and I couldn't figure out a way to write a character that would do her talent justice. What do you do next? She moves to some little town and becomes a sheriff and then gets kidnapped and then we have Taken? I had to tell the story that was true to this role, and I didn't feel like I could create something with that character that would further that world, that would do Emily's character justice." He then added, quote, "There could be room for Blunt's character somewhere else down the road. Blunt has stated that she wanted to play the role again and would come back if she had the chance. I, for one, can't wait to see part 2 next week. Michael C. Hall is reteaming with Cold in July director, Jim Mickle, in a movie for Netflix. In the Shadow of the Moon will be a sci-fi thriller in which Hall will play a detective who is assigned to a murder case. Him and his partner discover that their suspected killer isn't who she seems to be, as the broad concept of time travel is thrown into the narrative. All I can say is that if you have ever seen, or if you haven't ever seen Cold in July, A, you should, and B, you should be excited. Dr. Dre has plans to make a biopic about Motown legend Marvin Gaye. The rapper, producer, business mogul, and whatever other titles you can add to his resume has the singer's family's estate's blessing to produce the movie. According to Variety, he secured the rights to Gaye's musical catalog as well, which includes hits such as What's Going On and Sexual Healing. If the movie turns out anything like Straight Outta Compton, I'm all for it. Sam Mendes is set to direct the World War I movie 1917 for Steven Spielberg's Amblin Partners and Universal Pictures. This is the first project in which Mendes will be a co-screenwriter on. This also is the return of Mendes working with Spielberg, who worked closely on Mendes' directorial debut, American Beauty. Mendes also made 2 more movies for Spielberg's DreamWorks, Road to Perdition, which is one of my favorite movies of all time, and Revolutionary Road. There's no real information about the plot of the movie, but I, for one, am looking forward to seeing it. If you thought you were surprised by the end of Split, which saw the return of Bruce Willis's David Dunn from Unbreakable, you weren't the only one. Samuel L. Jackson says that he didn't even know about the Split twist either until he saw it in the theater. He said, quote, "I remember when Knight called me last year to say, I need you to watch this movie I just made, and after you watch it, I'll tell you what I'm thinking. So I watched Split, and at the end of it, you get Bruce in the cafe, and the woman talks to him about Mr. Glass. I was like, so are we going to make this movie? And Knight says, well, it depends on the opening weekend. Well, Split made a ton of bank, and we are now getting a 3rd installment. Glass is set to be released on January 18th, 2019. In the well, that didn't take long department, Disney has already upped its bid for Fox. The House of Mouse has raised its offer to $71.3 billion in cash and stock. In a statement, Fox said Wednesday that the new deal is significantly better than Disney's earlier offer and quote, is superior to the proposal made by Comcast Corporation. It is said that the deal would be about 50% cash and 50% stock instead of the all stock like the first offer. While this is a sweeter offer, Fox's board said it retained the right to weigh competing bids. The ball is now in Comcast's court, but they have yet to comment as of this podcast recording. Although it has yet to be decided if the proposed Roseanne spinoff based on the character of Darlene will move forward, with Roseanne Barr's attachment of being the creator of the character being the big hang-up, this hasn't stopped one actor from having a little fun with it. Christopher Plummer, who is no stranger to replacing another actor on short notice for a role, said that he's been hearing the comments that he should replace Roseanne on the show. There's so many memes of him replacing other actors, and now Roseanne is the latest one. He said, quote, I have heard about these. I always chuckle. The latest one was Roseanne. Why not bring me in to play Roseanne for the next season? I couldn't believe this. I think it's hilarious. All I can say is I would never doubt that man's abilities. James Gunn has come out and confirmed just when Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, at least I'm assuming that's what it's going to be called anyway, will take place in the MCU timeline. After Chris Pratt seemingly joked in an interview that it would be some form of prequel, Gunn confirmed that it will indeed take place after Infinity War. Further fueling the flames were the Russo brothers, with Anthony Russo saying, quote, here's the thing, I think it's important to remember anything is possible in the MCU. Just because there's a sequel on the books doesn't mean people become accustomed to time moving linearly in the MCU. That doesn't necessarily have to be the case. There's a lot of very inventive ways of where the story can go. Joe Russo added, there's 4 years between Guardians 2 and Infinity War. That's a long time, and a lot of Guardian stories to tell. Then Anthony said, don't expect everything to move forward in a linear fashion in the Marvel universe. But when asked by a fan on Twitter, James Gunn made everything nice and clear when he simply said, it will be after. John Travolta's Gotti, at the time of this podcast recording, sits at a rare Rotten Tomatoes score of 0%. While this might be a bit premature given that this is only for a total of 28 reviewers, this is still making news for other reasons. The audience score is at 68%, liking it, so some would think that this is just a case of critics versus moviegoers. Well, not so fast. There are claims of fake reviewers and planted reviewers because many of the account holders that have reviewed Gotti had just created their account in June 2018, and many of those accounts have only reviewed one movie, Gotti. Like the movie American Animals, which is an amazing movie and which you can see the review for on my channel, Gotti was co-acquired by Moviepass Ventures in the company's first foray into movie distribution. So is Moviepass behind Gotti's inflated Rotten Tomatoes score? Who knows, but it could be likely since their parent company's stock, again, isn't doing so hot right now. Excuse me. While Kick-Ass director Matthew Vaughn seems interested in returning to the movie's universe, there's one actor that does not seem to share in his excitement. Chloe Grace Moretz has said no to the possibility of returning for a possible Kick-Ass 3, stating that she, quote, wished Kick-Ass 2 had been handled in a little bit of a different way, end quote. When asked to elaborate, she said, quote, I love the franchise. I think the first movie was really, really special. I wish the second one had been handled in a little bit of a different way, because I think we were all kind of looking forward to something a little different than what happened with it all. As much as I love the character of Hit Girl, I think she lives and survives in Kick-Ass, and I kind of want to keep her there. I kind of want to keep everyone's mind in Kick-Ass, so I don't think there will be a Kick-Ass 3. At least I don't think with Hit Girl in it, end quote. While this is a bit disappointing, I can kind of see her point. While I kind of enjoyed Kick-Ass 2, it is not nearly as good as Part 1. While there's no real crystal clear evidence, it is being reported that Patrick Stewart could be making a return to the Star Trek universe. Alex Kurtzman has gotten a 5-year extension from CBS, which includes the duties of being showrunner on Discovery and includes the option for a new spinoff that could see 2 Star Trek series on the CBS All Access streaming service. Again, these are just rumors at the moment, but since, and cue up the arguments, Picard is the best Star Trek captain ever, and him returning would be awesome. John Bernthal is returning to The Walking Dead next season for an unspecified number of episodes. How is this possible, you ask? Didn't he die twice? Well, yes he did. While it hasn't been said in what capacity he is coming back in, one would assume that it would be for a dream sequence flashback or something along those lines. With this supposedly being Andrew Lincoln's last season, if he's going to die like many predict, one could imagine one of the thoughts in his mind would be of Shane. You know, his daughter's real daddy. While many of us Star Wars fans are pretty apprehensive about the possibility of Disney finding some way to bring Leia back for Episode 9, there is one person who isn't. Carrie Fisher's brother, Todd Fisher, has stated that he'd like to see her return someday. He said, quote, Yoda came back in the last movie, so why not Carrie? In the first film, Obi-Wan says that if he dies, he'll come back stronger than ever. I feel like that's Carrie. She'll never disappear entirely. Look, well, I certainly understand this sentiment, and I am sad that Carrie Fisher is gone too, and Leia will not be in Episode 9, at least she might not be. I think this is a completely different animal. Yoda's a Muppet, whose voice actor was and is still alive as of the taping of this podcast. Other than unused footage, Carrie Fisher is not exactly available for the movie. If, and this is a big if if Disney spends a crap ton of money and makes the best looking CGI character ever and handles it way better than it did Tarkin, and Leia for that matter in Rogue One, then by all means give it a shot. But man, you better be certain. Could we be entering the danger zone again? Top Gun 2 or Top Gun Maverick or whatever it's going to be called might be bringing back Kenny Loggins for the soundtrack in some way, shape, or form. When asked by TMZ if he's returning for the movie, Loggins had this to say, quote, "I met Tom Cruise on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon and asked him that question. He said, of course we have to use Danger Zone. So I'm hoping to do it maybe as a duet with a young act. We have some feelers out to some pretty cool rock acts. Maybe do it his way or their way, depending on whether it's a band or soloist," he explained. And he explained, quote, "So we'd reinvent the song to a point. That's what I'm hoping to do. My thoughts are this. Of course it would be a crime not to use Danger Zone in the movie. There have been many covers of the song before, but nothing really mainstream. If I had my pick for the cover band, well, I'd love to see someone like a Five Finger Death Punch do it. For the movie itself, I would go with the Foo Fighters. And that's going to be into quick hits. Now, next week, I'm going to be doing my first small YouTuber spotlight. What I'm wanting to do is find a YouTuber out there and check out their channel. And I don't have really a set number on small YouTuber. I mean, they may have a few more. I'm really honestly looking for maybe under 2,000, but I'm just throwing that number out there. There's always exceptions to the rule, but I do know who I am going to be looking at next week. But if you listen to this podcast and you would like me to take a look at your channel, please comment in the section below. And in the next few weeks, I'm going to be taking a look at some other channels. Like again, I've already chosen who I'm doing next week. And I'm looking forward to talking about their channel. I want to talk about more channels. I got a few other ideas. I mean, there's some YouTubers out there, you know, like Heisenerd and stuff like that who I've worked with and everything, but you know, he's one of my partners and I'm not going to be using him. And I want to say our work together is promotion for him. I want to focus on people I maybe just know a little or don't know. So again, please, if you really want me to look at your channel and maybe use it in the small YouTuber spotlight, I would love to see it. So please, again, in the comment section below, give me a link to your channel and I will try to look at all of them that I can. A bit of a channel update, and this is a big one. This is the big news I was teasing at the beginning of the show. By some miracle, as of today, my monetization is back. Finally. It's a small victory for me. Though I've still never seen a dime from YouTube. It's a small victory. I'm happy to see it come back. I don't want to say it legitimizes me. I'm not gonna toot my own horn here. It's just, I know for me personally, I've worked really hard almost every day, you know, to do stuff on my channel and try to make it grow. And right now, as I said before, it's been kind of stuck around 1,400 subscribers for a while. And I'd like to see it grow some more, but I'm happy that it got where it got. And again, I like to see it grow, but if it doesn't, I'm okay. But I'm happy to see this come back because it's just one of those little small victories. So thank you to those of you that helped me get to all the goals I needed to get it back. Those of you new subscribers, those of you that have been with me for a long time, those of you that watch the videos on a regular basis, I thank you so much, and from the bottom of my heart, it means a lot to me. Also on the channel, Talking Movies continues. This weekend, you'll be able to check out my review for Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Find out if I thought that it improved on what I thought was a lackluster soft reboot with Jurassic World. This weekend, I'm also going to try to put up a review for Luke Cage Season 2. I know I'm watching it on Friday, and I don't care how late I got to stay up to finish it. Geno's Bad at Games continues, as we talked about earlier. I'm continuing my Game of Thrones RPG playthrough. I'm finally nearing the end of the series. I'm honestly looking forward to playing something else. I've got a few ideas in mind of what I want to play. I may do some quick hits like I did before with just one day game kind of things. But I've picked up a few games here and there that I look forward to playing on the channel. If you want to know what's going on the Reel Geno YouTube channel, make sure to follow me on Twitter and Facebook, mostly Twitter because Facebook can stick it. You can follow me. It's the Reel Geno. That's REELGENO, just like the channel. You'll get the latest channel news from me and from my GB3 partnership with the Heisen Nerd. And of course, I want to draw your attention to the different things, my different affiliations. The Geek Be Cube channel. We're working on some things on the channel. Next week, if we can work it out, we may be doing a one-on-one game against each other, some kind of quiz or something like that. Heisenerd's wife, Danielle, who, if you listen to our Cobra Kai spoiler discussion over there that she joined us for, she may be the host, where Bill and I go one-on-one with quiz, and I'm not sure how it's going to go. I don't do very well with quizzes, so we'll see how that goes. But either way, it'll be an all good fun. And of course, I want to lead you to my partner in crimes channel, Heisenerd. That's HEISENERD, where he does gaming live streams, let's plays, does a podcast called Heisenerd Speaks, and also make sure to check out his channel for our playthrough, or at least partial playthrough, painful playthrough of Cuphead. I don't think we're continuing it next time, but I believe we are going to continue it sometime. We're going to try. We got a small victory when we finally beat Hildeberg. That one took a while, but we had a lot of fun. And as always, thank you all so much for the support of this channel. Again, a lot of you have been with me for a long time, and of course, I appreciate that support. And some of you are newer and have stuck with me since you came along. It means a lot to me. Again, I'd like to see the channel grow, but if this is as far as it goes, those of you that stick with me, I'm thankful you're here, and I'm thankful we're having a good time, and getting to do this really means a lot to me, and especially when there's responses to what I do, that means a lot to me. It means at least somebody's listening. So, again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. That's going to be all this week for Get on the Mic. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. As always, I am your host, the Real Geno Reynolds. Again, I wanted to do this early so I could watch Luke Cage on Friday. I will try to get my review of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom up by, if I don't do it Friday, I'll do it Saturday. It depends on what all I can get done, how fast I can get it done. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing Luke Cage. So that's how my Friday is going to be after work. So that's going to be all for this week. Again, if you like what you've heard here, please subscribe to the Reel Geno YouTube channel. Share it with your friends, like and subscribe on all the videos, watch as much as you can, and share it with your friends. And this isn't just for me. If you follow a smaller YouTuber, share their channel, hype up their channel, help the smaller YouTuber grow. And I know not all YouTubers are going to be for everybody. There's smaller YouTubers I really like and smaller ones I don't. There's bigger YouTubers I really like and some I don't. Follow what you like, and if you do like something, definitely share it with those that you know. That's going to be all for this week on Get on the Mic. I'm Geno Reynolds, the Real Geno. See you later. Peace.